Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
If somebody can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up or something so I make sure this is operational? All right, I didn't receive one thumbs up. A heart. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, I appreciate everybody letting me know. Crypto Law, I sent you an invite as co-host. I know there's some people requesting. Listen, after that Zoom fiasco, for those that weren't on there, I don't know why I didn't just do a Spaces to begin with, but I've been in so many Zoom meetings the last 2 weeks. I said just send a Zoom link. Unfortunately, people got locked out because there weren't enough, and then it got bombed with some kind of hack that. And Fred Rispoli told me he experienced the same thing in an actual court hearing Zoom where somebody bombs it with pornographic material and vile language and things of that nature. So we ended it after 20 minutes because of that. So the purpose of this is to just make sure that people who were left out of that meeting have an opportunity to listen. I don't have all the answers on Linqto, so let me start with that first. I know I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of DMs about this, and what I was doing was just sending the Zoom link. Some of you had some heartfelt messages, and I want you to know if I didn't respond, it's because I literally was getting hundreds and hundreds of DMs, and so thank you. I appreciate it. I don't want you to think that, I was being rude by not engaging. But a lot of misinformation, disinformation. The first thing I want everybody to know is that I'm a Linqto customer. I don't have sponsors. Crypto Law doesn't have sponsors. John Deaton's never accepted money except when I ran for Senate. My campaign accepted donations as a political candidate. So I have no affiliation with Linqto other than I'm like one of you and I'm a customer. And the purpose is this because there's a lot of misinformation. Linqto is not a scam. I can tell you it's not an FTX issue. It's not a Ponzi scheme. Before I invested, I did my due diligence. I made sure that I was, if there was a bankruptcy by Linqto, well, what about my funds? Is that going to go to Linqto and its creditors, or is it going to be mine? It's the agreement is that it's bankruptcy protected, so that if Linqto were to file bankruptcy, our shares of whatever we own is ours. It's not Linqto's. But before I even put significant money, or a lot of money, I should say, I experimented. I bought pre-IPO shares of a company called SoFi, and it was about a $10,000 investment. And SoFi went public, and my shares showed up in my Charles Schwab account, and I made money off it. And so after that positive experience, I said, okay, I'm capable of putting more money. So I bought pre-IPO shares of Kraken, Ripple, BitPay, Circle, and I think I may have bought a little bit of Linqto. I can't remember off the top of my head. But so I just want you to know I'm one of you, just like I was in the Ripple case as an XRP holder. And I can't answer everyone's questions because I don't have all the information. All I can do is share what I have. So no more emails about, oh, that you got scammed. I've seen emails of people like, how do I tell my wife that I put $50,000 of our money into this and now it could all be lost? That was the purpose of getting this information out, so that people don't have those thoughts. So what I did is, because they shut down the platform, there's no more trading going on. And then there was an email or letter from the CEO, a new CEO, that they hired Sullivan and Cromwell. My um, uh, alert went a little bit up with that, just because Sullivan and Cromwell gets hired sometimes for bankruptcy. They handled the FTX bankruptcy. So that made me concerned. I mean, it's a big firm. So the fact that Jay Clayton was there or whatever, that's not here nor there. It's just that I was fearful that bankruptcy could be an issue. So I double checked to make sure that my funds, which would be like yours, would be protected in bankruptcy. And that is the fact. So if that happens, and I'll address that in a minute, you should feel that you're not going to lose your money, or you're not going to lose your funds. So I have substantial funds on the platform myself. So if you were scammed, I was scammed. But I can confidently say nobody was scammed in that kind of sense, where it's a Sam Bankman-Fried, Bernie Madoff kind of shit. Here's what I know. So I sent out a tweet, not a tweet, an email to Nick, who used to be there at Linqto, some of you know, and was expecting him or whoever, management, to get back to me. And it basically said, look, I saw this letter clearly written by Sullivan Cromwell, which is vague. People want to know, is their money safe, right? They really don't give a shit who the CEO is. They don't care about anything other than the fact that they bought shares in a company or they have money in an account. Is it safe? And your letter dances around that issue, and that is awful suspicious to me. In addition to that, when you get on the Linqto mobile app, all of a sudden it's asking me to acknowledge that I could lose all my funds. That betting in private equity is risky and you could lose everything. And it's like, in addition to that letter, and now you're asking me to like acknowledge something that I already acknowledged a long time ago when I signed up. Boy, this doesn't look good. So I have dozens and dozens of people sending me emails. So please get back to me, because people are talking about class action lawsuits. People are angry. People are unnerved. And I thought that they didn't get back to me. I want to correct something. I always love take pride in being factual. The next post I put said they didn't respond, so we're going to have the Zoom. After I sent the post saying we're going to have a Zoom, the CEO, name is Dan, texted me. He got my number and texted me and said, hey, we sent you an email 5 days ago. I went into my spam account and there was an email from someone from the new management. So they did respond. But the CEO and I had a conversation because I explained to him exactly what I'm explaining to you. And said, listen, I know that letter was written by Sullivan Cromwell, and I know that these lawyers are going to tell you to be as vague and don't commit to anything publicly, but that's bullshit, right? That's legalese nonsense. The money's there. Is our account safe and whatnot? And what I can tell you is that it's been audited. It's continuing an audit, like a reaffirmation audit or a second audit, but your shares are safe. If you have cash on the platform, you should be able to take it out. If you can't take it out, it's because there's an AML KYC issue, maybe, that hasn't been checked off. But other than that, everyone should be able to get any cash funds that they have on it. What's going on is that they have some regulatory issues. and there's internal investigations and whatnot. It relates to compliance, not fraud that I know of, but compliance. AML, which is anti-money laundering, and KYC, know your customer. Deals with accredited investor, right? You have to be an accredited investor. So there's those kind of regulatory issues that the SEC is involved, and they're working through those things. So in order to work through those things, they shut down the platform to get past that. There's a lot of speculation that it's a hostile takeover and by this new management and whatnot. Doesn't appear to be that, at least coming from what I'm being told. I don't know. I can't vouch for anyone. I don't know anybody personally. But I brought up bankruptcy and said, here's what I fear. I fear that Linqto is going to file bankruptcy, and then, people's stuff will be tied up in bankruptcy. And, bankruptcy can take a couple years, 3 years. And what if, someone has Circle shares, or they have Ripple shares, or they have Kraken shares? These companies now with different regulatory environment are going to go public. Kraken's already talking about it. We know Circle's going to happen. People, Ripple, and from what I believe, that would still apply. Your shares would be sold, not sold, but dropped into your Schwab account, even through a bankruptcy petition. So they should be protected and they're safe. I got the impression that bankruptcy was not an imminent issue, and that the impression I was left with is that there's not this big debt or major creditors that have to be worried about. Sometimes when you're going through a regulatory situation with the SEC and you have like a couple major creditors, they can like call in the loans and force a company into bankruptcy, so that they can like be first in line in the bankruptcy and use bankruptcy as a way to maneuver. And the impression I got is there's no scenario like that that would force that. And the CEO expected that in the near future, because I was, and he acknowledged this. I said, that letter certainly was create panic and create suspicion. And he acknowledged that they need to do a better job of communicating and whatnot. And so that's in essence all that I know. The main thing to know is don't listen to the misinformation or disinformation online. I can't guarantee anything. I'm just like you, except the only difference is I've had a conversation, with the new management for about 30 or 35 minutes on the phone. I can't vouch for anyone. All I can tell you is someone who has funds on there, I can say that I'm confident that my pre-IPO Circle shares that were purchased on the Linqto platform are in an account in the amount of shares that I purchased, and that if Circle goes public in the next year, I will uh, get the value of my investment. And even if Linqto files bankruptcy, I will get the value of my investment, and so will you. That's really it. What happens from here, I have no idea. Can't tell you. A few days from now, Linqto could come out. I've heard rumors that they're going to be more public, and come out and try to rebuild or the trust in the community, because they do want to go for it. And I've heard rumors of the opposite. So the whole purpose of this was just to share with you what I know, because I'm in maybe a better position to find out some things uh, for whatever reason, and wanted to share it with you. Plus, it really is heartbreaking to get emails. There's an email where someone's like, I saved all the money I could and I bought 44 shares of Ripple. And that, John, that's all I got. It's not a lot. Well, it is a lot. and whether you got $500 invested or 5 million, you shouldn't be put in a position where you have anxiety over something that you shouldn't. So I'll pull a couple people up. Let me just say this: I was asked a question on the Zoom about PolySign. I don't know. I didn't own PolySign, so I don't know much about it. I know that I know it's still on the platform, but I can't give you any insight on what is going on with PolySign or whether it's those shares are valuable or whether I just don't have any information. That'll be something that has to be answered by somebody else. I really didn't keep a close attention to it because I didn't own it. And I certainly didn't bring it up with the CEO because I don't own it, so I wasn't even thinking about it. Um, I'm hoping that the company, somebody from the company, will come out very soon and basically solidify everything that I'm telling you. And then, you know, what they do forward, I really don't care. I just want to make sure. I will tell you this: I'm not going to stand by and let people's mine and yours investments get screwed without a fight. And if that requires some kind of litigation, then that's what. It's not like we're unknown for. It's not like it's a foreign territory for this community. So you have my word. If something like that needs to be done, I'll do what I can. I'll bring up. Let's see. Um, all right, I brought Chef up. You had a question, and then go ahead.
Hi, John. Thanks for arranging this and the Zoom call. So the only question that I had is after this the senior leadership change announcement is how did almost the whole nickel team come to Linqto? Did they get acquired by Linqto, or did they acquire majority stake from someone that owned Linqto, or how did they manage to come on board and do all these changes?
All right, this is what I know. What I know is that they were brought on as a new executive management team. But what I've been informed is that there is nothing now where Nickel is trying to buy Linqto or Linqto is trying to buy Nickel. Originally, I think there was some kind of proposal of that sort, but from my understanding is that these regulatory issues and other things caused everything to be tabled, and we'll see how it transcribes from here. But as of right now, to my knowledge, what was going a transaction was going to take place involving Nico. I don't know the details. I don't know whether it was a stock transaction or whatever, but that's not on the table right now. Again, this something could change tomorrow. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think they're going to file bankruptcy based on what I was told. But if they file on Monday, that could happen. I'm only communicating to everyone here what I know because you're not in the position of knowing. I just want to share that. So that's all I know to answer your question. But thank you. Whoever not, let's see, Nostradamus.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Cool. Thanks for being here today. I'm not sure if you already answered this. I hopped on a little bit late, but I am not an accredited investor. I ended up being able to invest through like a 1 in 35 non-accredited slot that was opened up. They barely do it. And the minimal amount was 10 grand. So I was just curious because now they want me to re-verify my accreditation status and I'm not accredited. So how do I handle that?
You obviously got to be, truthful. I think that, and again, this is me speculating. So I want everyone to know that, like, I don't know any of this for sure. because I'm not privy to it. I haven't been made available of the exact nature of the regulatory issues. But I think that is one of the potential regulatory issues. In other words, it's not fraud, it's not embezzlement, it's not, that kind of Sam Bankman-Fried nonsense and crimes. It's, the T's and the I's and credit investor or technical SEC stuff that the SEC cares a lot more than necessarily the public
Right.
cares about.
So
So
do you think
yeah,
they'd give the money back
what'd you say?
if they wouldn't allow you to keep the shares?
No, I don't. That's a question I can't answer. I understand it's a
Gotcha.
great question of like rescission and whatnot. Here's at a minimum, you'd be getting your investment back, money back.
Okay.
Being able to punish the customer doesn't sound like something that this new SEC right would want. Sounds like something Gensler might do, but you would hope that this new SEC would not be in the business. You're supposed to protect investors, and so if anything, normally it involves a fine of the institution, not so much someone like you. Now, obviously, my advice obviously was be honest. I I'm told because of the regulatory AML KYC issues that everyone has to sort of qualify or certify who they are, including me. I was informed that the reason when I go on my mobile app and it pops up, sort of those kind of questions, including acknowledge that you could lose all your money, blah, 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 that it basically anyone who's a Linqto customer, they're going through the whole rigmarole of recertification, who's a credit investor, who's not a credit investor. But yes, there are rules that allow, non-accredited investors to be a small part of certain scenarios, and yours could have been done correctly that you're a part of, or it could have been technically not done correctly. Uh, I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, someone like you will be able to get answers from Linqto itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I was just worried I was going to reach out to him and they were going to be like, look, man, we can't give you your 10 grand back and you're screwed. And I just feel like that's a complete fucking scam, but
No, that's not going to happen.
gotcha. Okay.
And if something like that were to happen, I would do whatever I can because I'm not going to let that happen to people like you and me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm an accredited investor today, but it only took me 55 fucking years.
yeah, I appreciate that, John. I will, I'm going to reach out to him and then I'll post an update on what they said to me.
All right, I appreciate it, man. All right, who else? I had a question.
John, this is not Bob. Listen, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the crypto space. And man, I'm telling you, I don't know what we would have done without you from the beginning. But anyway, mine's kind of a simple question. I know we're in the process. We're a little bit early in the process of this. They did send me, when I went on the site, I've got to requalify, which that's no problem. But my question is, does anyone receive their K-1 so we can finish our taxes for 2024?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like right now, I think that they're in this internal process. That the impression I got is that within a few weeks, it should be completed. You know what I mean? And so, the new CEO, the only thing I could say was I'm imploring you to talk to your lawyers and be as clear in your communications as you can, because there's just been way too much anxiety and misinformation out there. And he acknowledged that and seemed interested that he wanted to get past this period of time. Again, I don't know this person, had a decent conversation with him, but I've had decent conversations with lots of people that later I learned not to trust, and I've had great conversations with people who are great human beings. So I just couldn't tell you.
Okay. I was just kind of concerned about doing my taxes for this year. I've got 5 different investments with them, and I normally get K1 forms for each investment, and so I can do my taxes. But I have not received the K1 forms at all. So I was just,
Yeah, I'm imagining that they're getting all kinds of requests. That's a very, specific request other than what the hell's going on. But I would certainly try to reach out to them again. I'm making a couple notes that if I have a follow-up conversation with the company, I'm going to share these concerns with them.
all righty. Well, John, I sure do appreciate you, buddy. I tell you, I don't know what we'd have done without you.
I appreciate you saying it. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
All right, who's next that hasn't asked the question that was brought up? Anyone else that has?
Hi, John.
Go ahead.
Hi, John. If I may ask a question. So I understand that first of all, thank you very much for organizing this space and for everything. Very much appreciated. For the non-accredited investors who were allowed to invest on the Linqto platform, do you think that if you are a non-American citizen but who was accredited in their own home country, say the EU, that you fell under the definition of an EU accredited investor, do you think those people will be treated differently than Americans?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, and I wish I had an answer of whether or not, it's sort of like reciprocity. I'm inclined to believe you got to meet, U.S. Rules and regulations and guidelines, but I'm not an expert at SEC in these rules, and whether or not there's some kind of reciprocity with other nations. It's a great question. I've written it down now out of my own sheer curiosity. I'll try to find that out. But
If I may add a little piece to that, it will depend on where the company is located that you're buying the shares of. Basically, all the SPVs are in US, so you have to fulfill the US regulation.
yeah, so sorry. Anyone else that was brought up?
Hey, what's going on, John?
What's up?
This is Alkaline City. I spoke with you 100 million times on Mr. I Show. We met at the proper party. You were a follower of mine until my channel got deleted. So if you could give me that follow again, I'd appreciate it. When I came up here, I wanted to really ask you about is like what's going on, in the crypto regulation space, because you have all of these meme coins that are such like, I don't know if Linqto is a rug pull, but you have like the Melania coin was a rug pull, Javier Milei rug pulled all of El Salvador, and shit is getting swept under the rug and nothing's fucking happening about it. So what's up with that, my brother?
Well, listen, I'm not a fan of meme coins. I've never owned any meme coins. Um, I can tell you as far as Linqto, all I can address, you said that, it's linked to a rug pull. And, the answer is everything I know it's not. Like I said, I've used the platform before this happened and it was successful. And I'm confident that what we purchased on Linqto is there. And eventually the people will get their investment. I can't guarantee it because, I'm just telling you what I am, and being in their shoes and everybody's shoes, this is how I feel. And all I'm doing is communicating how I feel. If I thought legal action was necessary, I'd take it. And I think we'll know a lot more in several weeks. But the whole purpose was to try to rest, people's anxieties and fears, and just, share what I learned. Because
But what about these other rug pulls that's getting swept under the rug, like the Melania coin, the Javier Milei, the tobacco over there in El Salvador? I rug pulled the whole country.
yeah, listen, I'm someone who said that, my fear was we would go from one extreme to the other, from the boot of the government on the neck of the industry to absolutely free for all, everything goes. The SEC has come out affirmatively and stated that meme coins are not securities. And so, the only thing I can say is that I don't see the SEC really aggressively going after folks, even if it is a pump and dump. I don't I don't criticize anyone who says any meme coin was a pump and dump. I'm not going to argue with you, but I can tell you is I don't, with the SEC's guidance, it's just going to happen. The only thing I can say is don't buy meme coins from a personal level, but it's like a gambling exercise. And I'm hoping, to answer your question, is big picture, for 4 years, this industry has fought for its survival. The next 4 years, it fights for its legitimacy. Whether it ever reaches the legitimacy that it should is an open question, but that's the best answer I can give you, my friend.
Well, I just got to say this to end my, land my point. If anything happens with Linqto, we blame it on Ray Fuentes.
Okay. Anybody else that was brought up? I'll bring like two more people up, and then I'm gonna end it. I'm doing the best I can. Let me see. There's and okay, I brought a couple people up.
Hello.
Yeah. What's your question?
Hi. Hello there. Can you hear
Yep,
me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I have a question here. I'm also a non-accredited investor in Linqto, and I'd like to know if Linqto accepted my investment and confirmed my purchase, then did they not enter into a contract? And since I was issued with a confirmation certificate for those investments, is that not binding? And can I not ask them to issue me my shares rather than give me back the money that I invested?
Yeah, I can't like give you a clear cut yes or no. I can tell you that I think that if there is those types, if your investment as a non-accredited investor could have been done 100% properly, and so there are vehicles that allow non-accredited investors to buy private equity in certain limited circumstances. Yours
Yeah,
could have been one of those limited circumstances, or it could have been one of these issues that why the SEC is involved and there's regulatory compliance issues. All I can tell you is that it's hard for me to imagine that the SEC is going to want to punish a customer. So I wish I could tell you, yes, it's guaranteed that your shares of whatever it is when it goes public is going to be yours, and you'll reach the upside if there is any upside in your investment. It should be the case, but I can't guarantee it because I'm not an expert in SEC. I'm not an expert in revision, or I'm sorry, what's called rescission. But generally speaking, these non-fraud regulatory compliance issues would be okay. They fixed it, and they are fined for the breaches as a
yeah,
deterrent for them doing it in the future. But we're not going to punish the customers. You know what I mean? So I can tell you that I think you're going to get your money back at a minimum, and hopefully
yeah,
you'll see you'll get the shares and experience any upside.
yeah. Thanks for that, John. I'd like to say thanks for the work you do for the crypto community. And I was watching from Scotland and hoping that you'd beat Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you, brother.
So, so onward and upward, and thank you for fighting the fight.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I brought someone else up who hasn't spoken yet with a question. Okay,
John,
Cassandra. All
John,
right,
I've
we got.
spoken, but just for your
Go ahead.
information, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just for your information on PolySign, PolySign is, I have an investment in PolySign, and it's still showing in my portfolio with the full $10,000 investment. They've really been shying away from PolySign, but the money still shows in the portfolio. So I don't know what's going to happen to that, the full amount that you invested. But this is just for your information.
Yeah, the only thing I know about PolySign is I remember there was an auction notice. And then I know that the CEO went to work for Ripple, and there may have been a Ripple may have purchased them, or something. So I just don't know. And I wish I could answer the questions, but I agree with you. It does show PolySign still on the platform. That'll be one of the probably first questions that the new management is going to have to answer
If
when
if
they start taking questions by people.
if I may add to that, John, yes, PolySign is still showing up because it's still alive as a company, though they have been having issues. So Ripple acquired standard custody from them, and they gave them cash and shares of Ripple to PolySign. So PolySign does have some Ripple shares, and they have another asset still, and some IP asset that they're so they currently have until they make the final decision to either go bankrupt or declare bankruptcy. That will still show on your account, and when bankruptcy happens, then you'll get the proper announcement. We will all get the proper announcement, I guess.
Okay.
Hey, John, I got one more question for you before you go. Now that we won this lawsuit, right? And we got this clemency, to move forward, in crypto. How do you feel about it? You put in your blood, sweat, and tears these 4 years, and you fought for it. You ran the amicus brief, and you did a great fucking hell of a job with that too, as well. So now that everything is all said and done, how do you feel about this?
Listen, I think this is a great period of time, and I think it's probably one of the best asymmetrical bets. Bitcoin and other tokens, not the whole asset class, not the 20,000 tokens, but tokens that have utility and real projects behind them. But I do fear that we're not going to do some of the consumer protection that I want. I'm a Coinbase customer. We've been talking about bankruptcy, right? If Linqto goes bankrupt, our shares are protected. Well, I'm a Coinbase customer. If Coinbase files bankruptcy, my account, your account should be protected. It shouldn't be considered assets of Coinbase and go to pay off Coinbase's creditors. So we need that protected. We need it clear that 100% reserves for centralized exchanges, no commingling of funds ever, separate accounts, audits, and bankruptcy protection. And we need, what's a digital security, what's a digital commodity, which the SEC governs this, the CFTC governs that. Maybe some tax policy. If I want to use my XRP to buy breakfast, I don't want to pay capital gains tax for a $30 purchase. So maybe there's some kind of tax relief policies to sort of facilitate. Those are the real things, changing this accredited investor rule so that regular fucking people can actually build wealth in this country and it not be, the top 10%. I mean, we got a rule that literally excludes 88% of the American population. You can serve in the military and you can give your life to your country, but you can't own pre-IPO shares of a company like the politicians can, like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them, both Republican and Democrats. That's shameful. So I really hope that we focus on those things instead of just some of the things that they might focus on. So, like I said, we're fighting for the legitimacy, and 4 years from now, we'll know whether crypto, fulfilled its potential or whether it was all just, something that excited us for a while. Anyone else before we end?
Hey, John, I was going to come up and just ask you about PolySign as well, but I really appreciated your last comment there that regular fucking people can gain wealth in this country, and I'm hoping that this change is going to allow that for many of us that are pioneers. The only thing I'll say with PolySign and what's going on with Linqto is communication and leadership. So I'll just use my voice to voice if they listen to your recording. First and foremost, thank you for your leadership. But I'd like to see more leadership with their team, the PolySign situation, because we're all just sitting here with a bunch of bags that felt like we got rugged and nobody discusses anything. So my only hope is that the integrity and the communication can, rise up in this industry. Last thing is, if you have anything to say about, the shifting to BlackRock, it looks like they're favoring Ethereum over Bitcoin, and it looks like that's going to be a pretty big DeFi integration. Do you have any comments on that? And then I'll let you close it out. And thanks again for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. No, I mean, listen, I would expect Ethereum should have been in a way better position than it is today, quite frankly. That regulatory pass that was given was such an advantage. Go back to 2018, it really was an amazing regulatory advantage, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and so in many ways, Ethereum it could be said that they blew the greatest head start lead in an industry. Some people feel that way. Some people are devout believers. But I'm someone who believes that the major coins will be here. You're going to see I just saw someone predict $8 to $10 billion in XRP ETFs, for example. So I'm kind of bullish on all of my. I don't own any Ethereum. I used to, but um, I think that Ethereum has some leadership problems, and I know that I'll probably offend a few people by saying that, but it really is difficult to imagine that they should be twice the market cap that they are, in my opinion. But they're not, and I'm someone who said I think that XRP will flip Ethereum. In 2018, XRP flipped it twice, January of 2018 and October of 2018, and I think it will likely flip it again. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at their technology, and if they can gain capital market and get people to acquire them and adopt them, that's great. But XRP all the way. So thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, appreciate it. Go ahead, Chef, and then we got to end it. I'm sorry, I know there's lots of people requesting, but I got to get to my 6-year-old Layla. She's patiently waiting for me.
Yeah, John, I just wanted to circle back to PolySign because I hear people saying this a lot. We got rugged. And, this is private equity. And in private equity, it's an adult's game. And, companies do fail often in private equity. You should get aware of that. You should educate yourself on that. And it does happen. Of course, it's not nice, it's not good, it's it is what it is, and if there is something that can be done to to help investors get back whatever they can, still you should take into account that when you invest in private equity, you should be prepared to lose that whole amount of the capital,
100%.
because
I'm just talking about the
yeah,
leadership and communication.
it happens a lot. And with PolySign, like I said earlier, they still do have some assets, and they still have some Ripple shares from they're selling off of the standard custody. So I personally have not written them off yet. So I don't know what others are going to do, and if there is any legal way to go about what happened. But like I said, this is private equity. There is a reason why accredited investor status is there. So you have to reach a certain level of capital, and you, in some sense, you have to have learned some things, and even if you lose some capital, you still can go about your life. That's all I wanted to add on that. And thanks a lot again, John, for everything.
Hey, John, I just want to say this before I go. And before you go,
Yep.
The Hinman emails. This is very important. The Hinman emails. Are they just getting swept under the rug like that? Is there not going to be like some criminal, like, down, clash on everybody, and like fucking people start going to jail, getting wrapped up for this shit?
Well, I don't think there's going to be anybody going to jail or anything. The only thing I could tell you is that we know that an inspector general report was done. We know that it's final. We know that before Gary Gensler left the SEC, that it had reached his desk, which also means that it reached the desk of Hester Peirce and other SEC commissioners. And I know Empower Oversight, which sued the SEC and was the one who referred the investigation for the conflicts of interest and whatnot, and helped cause the inspector general to do an investigation. That report has not been made to the public. And I know that Empower Oversight is litigating to get a copy of that. I believe eventually we'll get it. But, if I were to meet any of the SEC commissioners, I would politely say, will you agree to support that should be made public? If the crypto industry is going to move forward and be legitimate, we have to start with transparency. But to answer your question, do I think people are going to go to jail? No. If that investigative report has a smoking gun or something, there could be civil action that is pursuable, but we don't know. That's all speculation. You know what I mean?
During your amicus brief, did you get a chance to skim through the emails?
Yeah, all the emails that have been made public, yes, I went through them. They're on Crypto Law website.
How many are disclosed?
The ones that I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many of the Hinman emails were disclosed, but whatever they are, they're on the Crypto Law website. I didn't count them, but that's how we learned.
Well, I'm speaking of the non-publicated ones.
Well, no, if it's non-public, I haven't read it. As amicus counsel, all I am is recognized by the court to represent XRP holders, but I'm not an actual party, so I'm not privy to the unredacted stuff. I'm only privy to what was made public. So the Hinman emails that were made public, some of them were redacted. In the Ripple case, that's how we learned that Hinman called it the ether speech, and how we learned that 6 days before he met Vitalik, because it's in the emails that he was meeting Vitalik before the June 14th speech. Those things were made public with redactions, and those are all on the Crypto Law site.
So do you think that there's any sort of, like, on the ones that are non-publicated, that are disclosed, and that have been redacted, do you think there's any sort of criminal intent in any of them? Like, do you think that there was some sort of, like, maybe, like, money laundering or some shit like that?
There's nothing that's like it's a classic case of regulatory capture, right? A couple people get together, they write a speech, it benefits, specific people. There's conflicts of interest, where the firm is a member of the Ethereum Alliance Foundation, and Hinman's an ongoing partner. There's massive conflicts of interest. There's appearances of impropriety. I can tell you that Hinman violated 18 USC 208. That is the financial conflict laws, which says that you're not even allowed to have an appearance of impropriety as a federal officer. This investigative report will have to say that he violated that. That doesn't mean it's like intention with malice and there's bribes and there's that.
But acts of persuasion are considered conflicts of interest. Am I correct?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, there's conflicts of interest and there's a violation of statute, but no, there's nothing that is public that is going to lead anyone to jail. That's what I'm saying. But hey, listen, I got to wrap it up because I can't.
Appreciate you, John. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate
John, can I add just one last update, because there is a reply from Linqto to one of those non-accredited investors. I pinned it at the top, if I may read it for all those that are not accredited. This is the reply that Linqto sent to one of those investors. That says, they say, thank you for reaching out and for your patience. After reviewing your account, I can confirm that your account accreditation status is listed as not accredited. At this time, your previous investments are unaffected and remain in your portfolio as they are. If you cannot or do not verify that you are an accredited investor consistent with US regulations, you will not be able to make any future investments on the Linqto platform. Let us know. Okay, so basically those who made the investments will be able to keep their investments, but they will not be able to make new investments. So that's that. Thanks again, John, for everything.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you sharing that, because that was the purpose of this space. A couple people had that question. So as I expected, you're not going to be punished. You'll be able to have your shares. You just are not going to be able to participate as an accredited investor moving forward, or unless there's in one of those special situations. But listen, appreciate that. Hopefully this was informative for people. Hopefully it gives some people a little bit of relief and doesn't answer all your questions. That's up to the company. But have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you guys sometime soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.